All right, here's my milestone 7. We have groceries and meals at fancy restaurant. For the groceries, comparing the two of these, the grocery is going to be more of a necessity. Therefore, it'll be less price elastic, which will mean that it's less dead weight loss. It's harder for customers to leave the market when tax raises. So here's a before tax graph. Let's see. Here we have price and quantity. Here at the equilibrium point is at $15 and a quantity of 20. Um, let's see. Here we have in the red it's consumer surplus, in the green it's producer surplus. Now, in order to find out how much of each one is, you would take, because they're triangles, you'll take the 1/2 base times height, and then it'll give you your surplus for each. So once we do the calculations, we'll see that we have a consumer surplus of 200, a producer surplus of 150, and a total surplus, which is consumer surplus plus producer surplus, will yield 350. Excuse me. Now just keep this total surplus in mind for the groceries. This is it before tax, 350. All right. Next, we're going to go to the meals at fancy restaurant. Comparing the two, the meals at fancy restaurant is not a necessity. It's more price elastic. There should be more dead weight loss. We'll check that to see if that's actually true or not. So same way, we have a price of 20, quantity of 20, consumer surplus plus producer surplus yields a total surplus of 400. And also keep the 400 in mind. So we have groceries are sitting at 350 total surplus before tax, and meals at fancy restaurant is sitting at 400 before tax. All right. So now if we implement a tax effect of $5 on each item, what would happen? For the groceries with tax, the graph goes like this. We end up having a smaller consumer surplus because now we have to take into consideration the tax effect. So the consumer surplus is here in red, and that goes down to 112.5. Then the producer surplus in green goes down to 75. And then in order to find the total surplus, we have to add in the tax revenue. That's here in yellow. Tax revenue comes up to 150. When we add those together, we end up with 337.5. Now, what we end up having to do to find out the effect of the deadweight loss is we take the original grocery total surplus of 350, and then we subtract our new total surplus, and that would give us our deadweight loss for for groceries. So that's sitting at 12.5. So now we're going to go over to meals at fancy restaurant. So it's going to be the same ways to calculate the totals, but then as I told you, remember before, the deadweight loss before was 400, and now we're sitting at 375, which yields a deadweight loss of 25. So if we compare the two deadweight losses, the groceries, which was more of a necessity, it has less of a deadweight loss, just like we said it would, than the meals at the fancy restaurant, which has more of a deadweight loss. And because it has a higher deadweight loss, I believe that they should tax the groceries because of the lower deadweight loss. Because the deadweight loss is essentially economic inefficiency. And as we're learning in this class, in economics, we want the most efficient outcome. So therefore, I think that the groceries should be taxed.